We need to approve the health insurance this evening, so it goes in effect tomorrow. And you're going to talk about the insurance later? Or?
No, we'll talk about everything
Right
off the bat. And well, what we'll do is we'll go to fiscal officer report. We said in the legal note that we were going to open the bids at 6.
Oh, I thought it was 6:30. I'm sorry.
Oh, did it say that?
I don't remember right now.
Well, we'll split it.
Okay.
So if you want to make your fiscal officer report, that's fine.
Okay. So the sole contract, the health insurance resolution.
Young lady, you can move up if you'd like.
Okay.
Yeah, you can sit anywhere. You don't have to sit.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's okay. And then we have the renewal for the internal risk management insurance. Payment is due and the approval is due by June 1st for the renewal, right? We'll need that, you know, to review that next meeting. The health insurance increased about 14.94% from last year. Last year it increased 19%, now it's an additional 14.94%. Insurance company did put it out and they didn't receive anything that was better than what we had.
So it's like a 32% increase in 2 years, huh? Thanks.
And that is all I need. That's all I have. So we'll need resolution for the health insurance and the salt.
We'll do that after you open it.
Okay.
Any questions for Julia?
I do not.
I'll make a motion to approve the fiscal officer report.
Second.
John?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to open the bid for the 2025 road projects. We have three bids.
This one is Melway Paving Company, 7571 State Route 83, Holmesville, Ohio, 44633.
Yeah, what was the name of the company?
The name, Melway Paving, 7571 State Route 83, Holmesville. Guys, glance through, make sure they got the bid bond and all that.
Yeah, they can check every single page,
Yeah.
except when we look at one.
Yeah, no. We're good.
Beth, how do you spell that company, please?
Melway? She probably don't want that, but I need the envelope back. It's MELWAY. Just like it sounds.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Their total bid is $208,013.17. That's $208,013.17. Okay. Ron Hatton, Burton, PO Box 567. See, they got it all.
I like that.
See, like that, it's big,
Nice
big. I
class.
was talking.
Just encourage that.
Look at that. Bid bond. How nice. Let's get to the real meat and potatoes here. Alrighty, they are $229,689.40.
229.
$229,689.40.
Oh, we got it.
And it looks like they do have everything that they were supposed to have. That's Ron, yeah. The next one is Jog Highway. They are 9215 State Route 303, Wyndham, Ohio. Okay, their price is $221,479.67. $221,479.67. Jog Highway. So I would like to make a motion that we tentatively issue Melway Paving Company Incorporation of Holmesville, Ohio, award them the contract providing that the Portage County Prosecutor's Office reviews these and approves everything that they've done. And then it gets, from there it goes over to the Portage County Engineers for review by Larry and Mike Collins. Providing that they okay it, we award the contract to Melway Construction. For, page again. $208,013.17. Any questions?
17 cents. I have a question.
Yes.
Wait a minute. I'll second the motion.
John?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
You know what the engineer estimate was?
Yeah, I think it's right around that 200,000. Yeah. Yes.
It's in the minutes.
Yeah.
294.
294. He was open at the time, no longer.
Yeah,
It was 294.
yeah.
Yeah, it kind of was.
Yeah, the county is 294. I don't know exactly.
So we almost had the same thing that happened last year.
Yeah, except for
They-
money.
that's
Yeah. But we'll make sure that nothing got missed.
Okay.
But to expedite the process, we'll take and approve it as submitted, and then providing the county and the county approve it.
294, 173.
294.
Did you put specs out for them to bid that?
Excuse me?
You put specs out, we want this
Yes,
and this
yes,
done, and
yep.
and that's what they're bidding
Right.
on, so you're just assuming that all three of those
Have met.
quoted the same thing?
Yes, yeah, right. And that's why what we do to make sure all the legal documents are correct, that's why it goes to the auditor or the county attorneys, and then it'll go to a prosecutor's office, I'm sorry. And then it'll go from there to Mickey Marazzi's old office, which is Larry, in my county, so we review it, make sure everything's verbatim. Slag, gravel, whatever, inches, so.
Thank you, Matt.
And then, just so you guys know, that is bid several different ways, so you can take any road out that you want to take out. If everything come in over our budget, then we have the right to take out different roads that they bid, so.
Karen.
Well, I'm curious about, have you dealt with this business before?
Melvin, Have not, but they have a
Well,
lot of
I
reputation.
think it's curious, I'm just curious about Roniak and the Wyndham business,
Mhm.
whose name I didn't catch. They're within dollars of
Yeah.
each other. And this one is a lot lower. It's just rather a striking difference.
There's no rhyme or reason.
No, because I can tell you last year,
Yeah,
when it happened last year, they were $130
some thousand.
or $140,000 cheaper.
Really?
Yes.
And then
Okay.
one year, somebody didn't bid it correctly, so you couldn't take the lowest bid.
Right, correct, yep.
Okay, so did they get the bid last year? Or-
Roniak got the bid last year, I believe it was
Yeah.
Roniak, yeah, yeah, so I can remember all this, but yeah.
So,
And they were over $100,000 cheaper than anybody.
okay, who was $100,000 cheaper?
Roniak, last year.
Wow, okay.
Not only that, Ronnie had just got the $5 million bid from the county. They're already here. You would think that they would be lower. They don't have to
Yeah.
bring their equipment back. I don't get that.
Right,
So-
but, I mean, that's not saying they could have missed something, because they may miss something.
Yeah, right, well, I was just curious, because it just,
Yeah.
two were really close,
Yeah.
and then this one was noticeably lower,
Exactly.
so you just.
And that's why, we just take it to the prosecutor's office, they approve it for all the legal,
Yeah.
jumbo, and then it goes over to Larry Jenkins's office, and then him and Mike will do it.
And again, in this business, it's not over till it's over.
Yep, that's right.
Because these guys could just call up and say, we want to rescind that bid.
Yeah.
And who knows? Who knows?
Is there anything in legal requirements or advice about taking the best bid as opposed to the lowest bid?
Lowest and best.
Lowest and best, right, it doesn't have to be the lowest, they can't, doesn't have to be the highest, but it's the
Yeah,
best
I
bid.
was just curious.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Just,
Yeah.
okay, and I'm not implying any criticism, I'm just, this is the first time I've been aware of that, of a discrepancy like that.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, man.
You're welcome,
You're going to run that down?
I'll take care of it,
Uh,
it'll be there tomorrow.
Do they have email addresses for everybody?
I fill out a paper every year for them.
Do you?
With all your emails.
Oh, very good, thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, we could,
Do the resolution.
yeah, we could give back and just start with the, whatever you want to
I
start.
have the salt, we have 300 for the summer top up and the 600 for the 25-26 year.
There's not pricing or anything.
No, they put it out.
State bid.
Yeah, they put it out to bid after they get everybody's
Yeah,
contract.
they see how many times everybody wants, that's how they get cheaper. So, do you need a motion?
Yes, please.
Okay, I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
John?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
And the next one for the health insurance renewal. It said 14.94% increase, but apples to apples, it was the best rate that she could find when we filled out those papers to go and do searches. So I need a motion for that.
I was surprised that she was inherited it, because I had some questions on the reimbursements for the flex. It seems like,
I can work with you.
I know.
And he doesn't help.
And I feel for you, Julia, but I mean,
Other than driving to Warren, and they don't want me to do that.
no, I don't.
No, they don't.
I mean, there's got to be an easier way to do that. I mean, we've been struggling with this for years.
And I don't understand, that's all this company does, is, this work.
Right. Unfortunately, we have to have them due to IRS and
Right.
that type of thing. So. Okay, well, I am not on the plan anymore. So whatever, you okay with the increase, ma'am?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, what I'm supposed to do.
You want to make
I'll make the motion we approve.
Yes. I said,
Okay, John?
yes.
Yes.
She didn't ask me.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
All right, very good.
Those are the only two I can get.
Next.
That's it. That's all I need.
Okay, well, we do have, well, you know what, let's have Lynn present her stuff, and then I'm gonna do the
Okay,
officials report, and we'll go to you.
okay, appreciate that.
That's it, go ahead, Lynn, I know you got the point.
This is, it's time for you guys to have a hearing on text amendments that we worked on for a goodly while now. So here's everybody's packets. What, okay, coming in later.
I don't know.
Okay.
It's iffy, so.
Okay. And this would be approving a provision for hard pool covers, which is explained in there. I put in a brochure that one of the people that was advocating for this had. I think it's your last thing in mind. And the other two were to modify agricultural sign regulations. It turns out that if you have a business that's on 15 acres or more, the zoning commission can't tell you what to do with your sign. If you're on 5 acres or a small operation, they can. And so we need to edit that out of our thing. So and we're putting that in another place in the book just as a redundancy. So the pool covers are the main thing. And we went through it for months because I wasn't familiar with these, none of us were. We had people come in that had them and knew were knowledgeable. We called lawyers for liability, that was a concern, and ran it by them. And then we get to the hearing, and one of the attendees at the Regional Planning Commission, even though in my letter to them I said, we did extensive research on this, that just, and so they said, well, it's all okay except we're going to table that one thing on the pool covers. Well, that shut down everything that I wanted to present until they did that. So Todd went through on his own. I said, here's everything I did. If you want to repeat it, go ahead. So he did. And then they had their next meeting that made us have to have a second hearing, or it was a continued hearing, and they approved it as is. So it's not controversial, but if you're not familiar with it could be. Because I was worried about, no offense, and how's this work? And, so it seems like it's a very expensive. I don't think a lot of people are going to have the money to do this, but some people have already done it. So
There's quite a few actually.
yeah. And we stipulated certain standards. In other words, you can't go get a $50 tarp and throw it over the pool.
Right.
Okay, so it's mechanical. The covering is a real sturdy, like a Kevlar material. They say you could hold a dance on the cover and not collapse it, stuff like that. And we also recommended what I would call a splash alarm for the pool. That's another thing I didn't know existed. And those are not expensive relative to this. And there's different versions of them, but basically they can hang, for example, they can hang on the edge of the pool. It's electronic. And so if your dog jumps in the pool when your back is turned, it will alert.
Creates a wave.
Yeah. And I thought that's a good thing. Everybody really ought to have those on pools. And that's a good safety feature. And some of the real expensive homes that might have these, you can actually have it electronically transmitted into your house.
Right.
Is part of your security system. So you know, you're in another room and the splash alarm goes off.
Yep,
So
election goes
that
off.
shouldn't be happening. So that's what all that stuff is about.
Two questions.
Yeah.
So the pool question is,
Mhm.
it's gonna be a dumb question, but I'm really looking at it. So these are for in-ground pools?
Correct.
You're not. so
Not
it's
in
gonna
the
apply-
book, no.
No. So are we requiring anything for an above ground?
Nothing different than what we have. We didn't change
Just a
anything else. Just the
Because most of
fence.
them are 4 foot high.
Right, we modified that a couple last year.
Number 2, do we have, so these, we have one, are we gonna have 2 hearings? One for the pool covers and one for?
No, it's all part of the same deal.
Okay.
So you need one hearing. And the pool covers and then the text amendment on the
And
sign.
we have 30 days to,
Right, 30, this is the official presentation from
10
me to
days we
you.
have to
There you go. Right.
advertise, and 30 days after we advertise.
No,
It's got
Or it's
to be
30
you
days.
gotta schedule your, I'll just make up a number.
Right.
Today's.
I
the
just,
first.
I know this, but I
That's
just
okay.
want to be clear.
I was gonna review it anyway,
Let's just do
because it's confusing. Okay,
just do it.
you can't go more than 30 days from tonight to
Right.
have your public hearing. So I'll pick a day, let's say you did it on the 21st of May, that's fine. But then 10 days before that, the ad has to go in. And we are still, I know about House Bill that said, no, you can put your ad on Facebook. That's not good in my opinion. Nobody is doing that from what I can see in the Record Courier. And especially since people are not used to that, I think these ads still need to go in print journalism.
Yeah, I'm still on the fence with that, Lynn. I mean, for one thing, honestly, the Record Courier doesn't have much of a subscription.
I know.
No, but I mean, I don't know anybody that gets that delivered. I don't personally. And I'm saying, I personally don't.
No. I know.
I mean, I
That's true.
read it online, don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
there's just no real subscription, so you're really not.
Well, it's okay to
I think the
do-
Facebook page reaches more people.
It might.
Yeah.
In addition to that, that's okay, or the website, or whatever you want to do.
Oh, well, well, actually, absolutely put it on the website.
The legal stuff is still in the Courier. And we don't have, you know, when these deadlines come, we have to pay attention to it, because if somebody says, oh yeah, I'll put it on Facebook, and they never do it, and I don't know it, then we're screwed up.
Right. Well, let's go ahead and pick the date. 21st works for me.
I just made that
No,
up.
I mean, that works for me.
Let's, so the 21st is,
That's a
It's a
Wednesday, I mean, maybe
Yep.
you want to have it on a Monday night, well.
because you can't have the restoration.
20th, you probably mark it.
Or
The
is it-
20th?
What do you guys hear, first Monday?
Third
Oh, sorry, okay.
Yeah.
would be, it's the second and fourth.
So the 12th and the 25th, 26th.
Maybe the 19th, unless the BZA has something they want, which I don't know. Or the 20th,
How about,
or the 22nd.
22nd? I want to make sure that we do this right.
So I have to have the ad in 10 days prior to the 22nd.
Right.
Yeah, which would be
And the
the 12th.
And you gotta give them a little leeway, because you don't want to get an answer like,
I mean-
oh, sorry, we're all filled up, you
It
know.
has to,
Record Courier is known for that.
Yeah.
then it has to be in
Within 10 days.
before 10 days.
Right.
I mean, at 10 days.
Right,
It
but
can
you
go
don't
in-
want to call the morning of the 10, you know, the
I
day
know, I know,
before,
I know.
because they
I
can
know.
say, we can't.
So if
finish
it goes in on, if it goes,
It could go in tomorrow.
that's what I mean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah, it can go in as soon
Right,
as
right,
Julia
right.
wants to do it.
I have to submit it on a Monday just to get them run
Right,
in
is that
Thursday,
right?
Friday.
Yes.
Right, and we always say, please don't run it on a Monday, because there's no print
See,
copy on a Monday.
that's another thing. You're on the mercy of the
Yeah.
publisher. Publisher could really mess you up too.
Yes, they can.
I mean, you put it on Facebook, everybody reads it, it's there. And you have to actually take a screenshot of that for.
Well, I'm not in charge
For
of
proof.
all
No,
of
that's-
those, so if you want to do that, that's fine, but I would still,
Well, we'll do it for this year.
yeah. Because if you look at the, like today, I always look to see what's going on, and there's, Kent's doing all this, just like for contracts and all that kind of stuff, it's all in print. Other zoning boards are also all in print too.
Oh, that's right.
Okay, so did you pick a day?
We did.
Okay.
What's that, right?
22nd.
22nd, okay,
What time?
great.
And you're gonna put it in when, Julie?
What time?
19th?
What time? What
What
time?
time?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm good, I'm feeling good. better.
What time? You want to do
6, 5, whatever you want. Yeah.
We didn't have anybody at either of the public hearings on this.
Well, yeah,
People
there's
that
probably
wanted.
not gonna be,
So,
if we had 2 meetings this month, we would have it like we
Right.
normally do.
right, it should probably be a smooth deal.
All right, I think we're set.
6 p.m., 5:22.
6:22, okay, that
I
sounds
got
great.
witnesses. I said I have witnesses.
Yeah, we have lots of them, we have camera too.
Okay, now, I have one other thing I want to run by you, not related to this. When I was getting paperwork together with, usually I just pull out my book when I want to look at something, I have my regular zoning book, but for some reason I went online to our website to look at something related to this. And it hasn't been updated in 3 years, or 2 years. So all the zoning changes that have been approved and recorded aren't on our website. Just like the pool height, that's what caught my eye. The pool height fence still says 6 feet. So I'm not in charge of that. I don't know how we do that.
I can ask you a question. So is your book up to date?
You bet.
Why don't you give me a copy of it?
You've got a copy of it.
I don't
I
have a copy
give
of
you
it.
every page
I
that we
don't
change.
have it. If you give me the whole book,
Well, here's the problem. Remember?
because I can't put it in there because it's a PDF and I can't split it apart.
We can scan the whole book and it's one document.
Well,
And then you
here's
can
the
copy and
thing.
paste.
Here's the problem, aside from that. When Jason was still in office, everybody had decided that when you make a change in the zoning book that won't fit on the page, it forces things to go to the next page, and all the page numbers are kaput.
Right.
That's expensive to reprint books. So what they did, and Jason was putting on something that was like 10 pages long at the time, he says, I can't get this on this way. And we said, well, I don't know how to do it, what do we do? So I think he worked with somebody at Regional Planning. And what is on our website is all the pages apply only to that section, so that you're not changing 200 other pages.
Right.
And it makes sense. And it looks nice, and it's easy to make a modification. But I don't know how they did it. I don't have a disc. I don't know who they worked with. So having a copy of my book won't help you. Unless we have-
So we actually don't even have a book that's up to date.
Our book is up to date.
And it's all like,
Rich's book is up to date. And if you guys update your books when you get handouts,
so when you
yours is up
update
to
your
date.
book, you just take that page and
Pull out the old one.
put 3 holes in it and stick it in.
That's right. And I save the
But
old
you
pages.
can't do that on a
On our
PDF.
website.
I don't know what the answer is, but this is an issue.
It is an issue because
That we have to-
you said it's expensive, but if someone reads something different and takes it to court, that's a
Exactly.
real expense on us. So
You
we
bet.
need- so-
And I
So
don't
we
know
need
what
some-
to recommend, but maybe regional planning could do this for us.
Let me get Rich's book, and we'll have somebody look at it and say, how do you get the whole thing on there, like she said?
Yeah, we have to make sure that
Yeah.
we have a concise book on everything that's, because, a smart guy can really use that against us.
Well, the stuff that you have on there it's just not updated.
I understand.
So there's 3
that.
or 4 things that we've had since, I think it said last updated in
Right.
2023, so it's not up to date.
No, I get that.
Yeah,
I do. There's a lot of things, that aren't up to date. But the zoning book is very important to make sure it is up.
yeah, the zoning book, the hard copy, is up to date. but it's not printed in the same format as what is online.
Off the top of your head, do you think it's just the fencing and?
I can tell you that exactly, but just not off the, it's more, there's several things.
Why don't you send us all out an email on what we need to do?
Okay, but I don't know what you need to do electronically.
No, I don't mean that. I mean, like, what do we need to update? You have the list.
Oh, I can give you what needs
That's
to be
what I want.
updated.
Yeah, that's.
Okay, yeah, I will do that. Yeah, I would say it's 3 or 4 things.
There's gotta be a way, I mean, you know.
There is, and I think you have to turn them into a TIFF file, so that you can,
Convert.
yeah.
Okay, I have no idea how to do it, and I don't know, when Jason accomplished this,
What do you
it
do?
used to be, when we did this, I would get a disc, and they'd say, okay, here's the latest, and then that all just
And it
stopped.
should be on a disc for backup.
Yeah, it should, yeah.
Let me look through, because we went through all the records.
And once we get that up to date, I'd like to have all the books match what's online as far as the format goes.
Well, absolutely.
So that then when we do have another
Or somebody calls
amendment,
with a question or something.
then once again, we just copy several pages and we're done instead of repaginate
Yeah, I
and
mean,
printing out all
if
the
this
stuff.
was in a Word, if this was in a Word document, if that was in a Word document, we could manipulate it to get those pages in there. But once it's in a PDF, it's almost.
I don't know what it is.
Impossible.
Maybe Jason would recall how they accomplished it or.
I think he found I think someone helped him, regional
I
plan.
think they did. I don't know exactly how that, I know they were.
One last thing. So, as you know, House Bill 315 is now law.
Mhm.
And there is enforcement that is different now,
Oh,
right? So now it is a court action for violators. Check it out, go and look to House Bill 315, because I'm afraid that we may have to do a lot of changes on both. It's
well, court action has always been an option.
This is we could have the sheriff now come over here and do the violation.
It's a multitude of things.
The- Yeah, so the zoning inspector doesn't have to do that.
Oh,
So I want you to look at that or ask you to look at that, and
okay.
if you have a question, what you need to do is contact the prosecutor for advice on what to do.
Who's handling zoning now in Ravenna? Because I thought there was a new person.
Yeah, I don't know.
I didn't think
There's a
Brett-
new prosecutor.
I didn't think Brett
As far
was
as
doing
that,
it.
yeah, no, Brett's not doing it.
But I don't know I have not never talked to the new person, don't even know their name.
Brett's still there,
Yeah,
but
who's
he's
up
not a
there?
prosecutor, right?
If you
Yeah,
have any questions,
Okay.
call Shannon now.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, well, I'm
Mark
glad you
has
called it
something.
too.
Right. I recall when it first started off, Todd Peets was compiling the resolution providing the discs to the CB. And then, so you might touch base with him, because I know at one time he actually provided, I believe, individual chapters. And on the website, you could go to individual chapters as such, or the complete book, which is sort of redundant. But he might have the tools. He can separate it out by chapters. When a change occurs, he can update the record for that chapter, and then he creates a file with chapter 1 through chapter 99, which then brings in all the new information, since each chapter has its own running set of pages, and then provide you a disc with that.
And you can update your,
So you might check with Todd Peets on, you know.
Because I never got any kind
right.
of stuff from that.
And then we'll look and see if there's any disc in the zoning.
Yeah, let's-
I have a box of,
Maybe Rich got one and I'm not aware of it.
we have a box of discs that we
Yeah.
put all together so we could go through.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, I guess I'll start looking into that. I don't know if there's a charge or anything for that, it's
We
possible.
got hours coming in, right?
We should have hours,
We
yeah.
should have hours.
We should have hours and we'll go.
Yeah, we haven't, I don't think we've used any this year.
In addition.
No, just for stuff like this.
No, we're good.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lynn.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Mhm.
We'll get this in time.
Thanks.
go to officials' reports before we start. So, cemetery section, here, custodian is here. Custodian is here. Do you have a report for us?
The school's starting to slow down a little bit. Wednesdays and Thursdays are done. Still got somebody in there Mondays and Tuesdays. And got something in there for the next 5 Saturdays, so rentals are still going pretty good. I see the warmers in there, so
Thank God, thank God.
yeah. The girl that's renting tomorrow night for
Get that look at your face.
ponytail, she asked if she could use it. I'm like, sure. I gave her the directions. I'm like, I don't know nothing about it, so.
I guess you set the temperature and put the stuff in.
So yeah, see what happens.
Yes, Mark.
Had a little bit of feedback that the warming oven had arrived over there. I'm assuming it's underneath the fan dome
Yes.
there. But part of the feedback that I received is that if you turn the temperature knob all the way up, the GIF
Trips out.
would trip out. So you have to slowly increment that. And the suggestion, I believe it was from Dan, is you might want to have that circuit looked at. I don't know if that's just the nature of the beast for a ground fault interrupt.
It's breaker number 4, and it's in a lower utility room where the boiler used to be. And that panel against the east wall is the breaker box. So what they were doing is turning it on to like medium, letting it heat up a little bit, and then they can turn it all the way up and it would be fine. If you
And
want.
was the ground fault interrupt socket that was popping, or were they popping the circuit breaker?
They were popping the ground fault.
Ground fault.
Yeah, the breaker in the panel was not popping.
Okay,
it's
so we don't have access.
It's doing what it's designed to do.
Okay.
Because it's popping the GFI, not the breaker in the back room.
I don't want to spend too much time on this
Excuse me.
thing before we...
Well, Brian said if he started at 3, leave it at 3 for a minute, let it warm up, then you can turn it on.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
start it
Either way, yeah, good.
You know an electrician that can take a look at it?
Yeah, Mike's working.
All right, I'll tell them to do that, then just turn it up to 3. and
Right, right.
Okay.
Right. And so, one last thing is we need to get the one thing fixed in the men's room.
Yep, the 4th year now.
Right, so, no plumber?
Yeah.
We'll get it fixed. Yeah, we'll get it fixed.
Okay.
Anything else? I mean, because I'll tell you what, we can talk a little bit about the Civic Center.
Thank you, Lynn.
Yeah, thanks,
Thank
guys.
The Civic Center we are still waiting for bids. We have a bid already, but we can't do anything. I think we may just have to go out for a public bid.
Yeah, well, if it's gonna be over 75,000, or whatever the limit is, I think
So
75,000.
we're not sure,
It's gotta be bid.
we're still not sure what the insurance company's gonna pay for. Either they're gonna pay for a whole brand new floor, or they're only gonna pay for sanding and finishing, so.
Okay. Yeah, I had one more rental in there on July, I don't know, 20th or something. I called her last week and I'm like, yeah, I don't think it's going to be done. Is it all right if I switch it to the gym? And she said, sure. So nobody's in there from now until it's done. So.
I would say it'll be months.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure.
She
Keep
could
it
go
close
to
together.
that one, yeah. Okay, anything else?
No?
Thank you, sir. Okay, Rich is not here. Did he send an email on that?
No, Robin did tell me that she's been under the weather, so she hasn't, that's why she didn't have a report this week.
I did have a talk.
Yeah.
I thought the BZA was supposed to come today, but they didn't. Chambers here, Carol.
Okay. Well, the last chamber meeting was on the 23rd of April at Good Oak Farms. It started, I'll just go through it a little bit in the sequence that Randy reported that we have 4 scholarship applicants. There are 3 evaluators. They're going to go through that, and I don't remember how much the scholarships are for. So I didn't take a note of that. The chamber garage sale is June 3rd and 4th. Also, the chamber is doing some sponsorships. One is to the Triple Trail Fest for $250. One is for $250 to Art on the Hill. And then one for $2,500 for flowers in the village, and that includes the watering. They have to be watered 7 days a week, which may explain why anything I hung on my porch died within about 3 days. And that's been a topic of some debate between DMRC and the village and chamber and everything. And, you know, they look wonderful, but it really takes some effort to keep them, to keep them up. And if the village service department does it, they have to do it on weekends, and that means more pay. So I think maybe that's been sorted out. Okay, and there is discussion about what's called a DORA, which is designated outdoor refreshment area, I think. And I think what they're talking about is having that, you can have an open container outside and walk around with it, but it still has to be within a certain area. They've got that worked out and agreed upon, and that there will be a meeting about that on the 19th, 7 p.m. at R44. So that was, okay, and then this is I would think this would be of particular interest to the trustees. There will be like a government entity political update locally, and that is for the village, Mantua Township, and Shalersville. And you know something? I didn't take a note about where it will be. It may be in the Shalersville Township Hall. It may be. But that's on the 29th, and I think probably people would be interested in hearing, you know, from the 3 local entities. Okay, and there's some work on signage and that sort of thing. It's in process. Next meeting I'll probably have something to say about that. Okay, the topic of the meeting was supposed to be agritourism, and the person who was going to do that as a presenter, who's heavily involved with that, was called away for something. So Randy kind of winged it, and one of the things he said was that when farms, not everybody wants to farm anymore. You know, the kids have other things in mind. And so there's a really heartrending song, folk song, about the farmers made enough money selling the farm to die on. So there are 3 options up until the 4th one. One was sell to residential developer, which is what Tim Gould had to do. One is commercial development, and that's what used to be Desorts, so that's more pavement than there is land anymore, it seems. And then another one is to donate the property to the parks, and some people have done that. But, you know, the people who are aging and own the land may not be able to afford to do that. Right. So option 4 is agritourism, if you can work that out. And as it turns out, Goodall's, Jay is doing, okay, what I didn't realize, everybody knows about the maple syrup operation, because you see the little jugs and everything in various stores. But there's, the maple syrup operation takes 100 acres. They have a 100-acre woodlot, 5,000 taps on the trees.
A lot of taps.
It's a lot of taps. We used to do it in buckets. Nobody does that anymore. It's all tubing with vacuum pumps that take things to a huge tank. The other 400 acres of that farm it's a dairy operation. And I asked, the last I knew was Holsteins, and I asked about that, and I think it's Nathaniel, Jay's son, is the one who's interested in the farm still. And he said they use Jerseys, Normandy cattle, and Norwegian Reds. And the Jerseys are beautiful small cows. The Normandies and the Norwegian Reds are basically more or less red and they're spotted. Not like, they're spotted. I'm not going to try to describe how they're spotted. They do well on grass. And this is interesting, and I'll get to the I'll get back to the maple syrup in a minute. The farm is certified organic, and they are shipping their milk to Organic Valley. And I attended a workshop once a number of years ago about Organic Valley, and it seems to be a really classy operation. So that was all stuff I didn't know. It was interesting. The maple syrup operation, they do 1,800 gallons of syrup a year, which is a huge amount. And I think it takes 50 gallons of sap to produce a gallon of syrup. And how they do that is there's a huge holding tank in the side building. There's a brand new building on Peck Road, bright red, stacks coming up through the roof, and you think, what is it? Well, that's where they are. And there's this side, like a lean-to, sort of a lean-to, where the sap comes, and then it goes into 3 reverse osmosis tanks, and that process removes a lot of the water. And so that means that the evaporation process takes less time. And it was really impressive. You know, it's just not like, I don't think even the Amish are doing buckets anymore. So it was a really informative evening.
Carol, Dave would not know this. Do you know how many working dairy farms we have in the county?
In the county?
In the county.
Not very many.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There was,
I don't know.
I know the answer to that.
Do you?
There was 2, Roofners and Algers down on 44, and then when Algers went out, there's 1, and that's Roofners.
Yeah, okay.
So Goodall isn't?
Pardon?
Goodall's not farming anymore? As far as dairy?
They're not.
They ship the organic.
Okay.
Oh, so they do ship, but I mean, they
Right.
don't have the number of cows that, I don't know how many cows they know.
Oh, Goodall's have 80 cows.
Well, if you have 80 cows, you know 25. Because you got calves.
Yeah, well, he didn't get into the rotation.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether they're doing it seasonally. If they're doing it seasonally, they could do them all at once, couldn't they? No? Okay.
Cows are on rotation.
Okay. Well, that makes a lot, I haven't been really on a farm that's farmed that way for 50 years.
They say 3 generations removed now from the farmers.
Yeah, yeah, and Goodalls have been there for 200 years too.
Yeah.
So, and what they've done is just what you guys have done. They've diversified.
It's the only way you can survive.
Yeah.
You say Roofners down Suffield?
Yeah. I forget how much they know. It's like 300-400 cows or something. It's crazy. Crazy how big that is.
It is.
Yeah, and then up on Chamberlain, maybe after it becomes Munn, there's Timmins.
Yeah,
That's
Timmins.
Geauga
Yeah.
County.
And that just looks brutal.
It is. Hey, I got a question,
Yeah.
real quick before. So, what's up with this walking around drinking? So
Oh,
I want to know, I got a couple questions on it. So is this like every day?
for events, like.
Or is it like
Arnold Hill.
seasonal, they're gonna have it in the winter time?
I don't know. Okay, the meeting is the 19th at R44, and you could ask those questions.
Oh, so there is actually,
Oh,
I
yeah.
heard it was just
Yeah.
gonna be what they did out in front of the meat shop and the bar.
Yeah,
on the river. That was designed for that, so there's some tables out there, so you
Yeah.
can have alcohol out there. I don't think you can go down on Main Street and start walking around, I think it's got a designated area
well,
outside.
because Kent has a big area.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, right.
right. No, there was discussion
Harrisville has
about,
an area as
about
well.
controlling
They do.
the area.
Yeah,
I frequent those.
Garrettsville has an area as well.
Yeah,
Most cities are
So,
doing that.
all right,
well, you know.
just for a chuckle.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just passing on what I heard, you know, if you want the straight scoop, there's the meeting.
Right. All right, any questions for Kent?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Well,
That will do it for officials' reports. Trustee business. So we did road bids. So we have a risk insurance policy that we need to look at. We have until June 6th to. Why did they change? They used to be this. I see. So there's some stuff in that that we probably need to go through that. For one thing, I came across this paragraph here. Otarma offers bonds for elected and appointed officials up to a limit of $10,000 at no additional cost. So we may have a few people that take money in that we may have to bond. And so Otarma does not charge us for that. Julia's office pays for her bond. It's a lot different than
It's,
our bond.
right, this is just a max of 10,000.
So Julia's gonna look into that for us.
And from what we were reading, it looks like they'll, you know, for zoning, so anybody that takes in cash is what we were thinking.
I think that's what it is. Under section 5, equipment breakdown, our power generating equipment is excluded.
we have policy on that, or what?
This is our insurance policy.
No, I know, but, I mean, as far as like maintenance.
We have maintenance on it, yeah, but so someone goes back there and sticks their hand in it, so I don't know. You know, so we need to talk to Mark about that, I think.
Okay.
And then further down in the page, there's another heading, new generation, $10,000 limit. I don't even know what that is. We may have to look into that.
That is for the equipment breakdown on that generator. So that's why they don't have it. They were,
Where's the other one?
well, they have it in our assets, they just don't have it under the equipment breakdown. They're not gonna pay for it if it's broke down.
Oh, is that what that is?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. But where is it in the, where is it in the policy that they cover? Well, we don't have to know that right away, Julia.
I'll find it.
Matt, they have school lane building insured for only $204,087.
Yeah, they're going off of what we paid for it probably.
The county.
Well, there's a section here that we can
Does insurance.
We can increase. So, and that's what I found, I just looked through it today real quick.
Yeah, those are.
So do you want to approve this, or do you want to wait until everybody takes a look? Oh yeah, they still have the case, mini in here, but they don't have the cap collection.
Yeah, I'll have to switch that out. Did anybody call
We gave it to them in the list, yeah.
Mark or,
We gave, yeah, when they asked for the updated.
okay,
Yeah.
where did
I'll
that go?
remind him.
Did that go to Mark or
It
did that go
goes to
to?
Mark.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll follow up on that, and I'll clarify on the.
Because our next, I think our next meeting's on what, the 3rd?
Well, we can do it on the 22nd.
Yeah,
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, we can.
Right. So, that's what we have.
Okay. Yeah, we'll go through this. I thought I got an email from Mark, I could be wrong, about thanking us for renewing one.
We did.
He sent that probably with this.
Maybe, I don't know.
I think he was thanking us for the applications that we sent.
Okay, that's it, right, okay. All right.
Yeah, because we renew this in June all the time,
Right.
so. That's what we have under Bristol Church. Civic Center, we went through that. The sewer project. I talked to Jim Shale from Great Lawn. He's the contractor. And he says that he's all ready to go, except he has a problem with Portage County Water Resources. Surprise, surprise. So he's got, it's just semantics with them. They're almost ready to go. So all that is directional boring. There is no, there's no open anything. So he's ready to go on that, and I would think maybe next week. Yeah, we had a good conversation, so.
So what actually is Portage County giving him a hard time?
On the size of the pipe.
Okay.
Or not the size, the grade of the pipe.
Hasn't that gone to like 10 engineers in the last 3 years?
That's easy enough.
Yeah, it's a real easy fix, so that's what we got going on. School lane roof is complete. Very nice job. Thank you, Terry.
There you go, Terry.
Very, very nice job. Very, very good.
Do you by chance have the bids for that,
For
or the quotes for that?
yeah, we had 2 of them.
Okay.
Barnes was 17,000, 18,000. Terry's was,
Yeah, one from Barnes, it was 93 something on the house. Barnes was 16.7.
Okay.
yeah, right,
On the garage, it was 43
right.
something, or 12 something.
So we did, we had Barnes and we had Terry.
Yeah, so to be the difference, did they miss anything, Terry? Or
Huh?
did you miss anything, or did they pull something that shouldn't have?
I don't rack it up, you know, they've got 12 Mexicans, they got, I have 3 Amish with an equipter.
Yeah.
You know, they pay the Amish more,
Yeah.
but they've done it the same amount of time.
Right.
No, they just make more money,
Okay.
they just have to make a lot of profit.
Okay.
I wish I'd make more money.
Yeah. If you left some on the table, I think.
Possible.
Yeah, but they did a very, very good job. They were actually out, I don't know why, they were actually one day out in the rain.
Yeah. No, you did a nice job, Terry.
Yeah, basically it's a day and a half for both.
Terry still owes us a little bit.
Yeah, I help them.
We'll let him go. He's got to take down the antenna
Yeah, we had an antenna.
and pick up all the nails.
Yeah, I pick up all the nails.
Maybe that was the difference between the 2 bids. I don't know.
Yeah, you always go back.
Right.
Even though they pick up nails,
Oh, yeah.
you go back a week or 2 later after the rains, you go back over it again.
Not spot the bushes and all that.
Yeah, you break it, everything.
Right, yeah.
So good job. Thank you, Terry. Good
Yeah,
job.
nice job. Appreciate it.
You did a nice job around the chimney. I noticed this one is not as good as.
Well, he said on the chimney, If you look at the very back, it pulled down about an inch. Remember we heard him drilling?
Yeah, he was, yeah.
He said it was collapsing. He said that the brick was all falling off the pieces near the bottom. He said so he had to drill it in, and on the bottom where it really was falling apart, it pulled down a little bit. He goes, but it's not going to leak.
Yeah.
He said so.
No,
When it gets down,
he did
I
it.
guarantee
He
it
did
won't
it.
leak.
Too nice.
He made it higher for that reason. He said, with the brick deteriorating, you make it higher.
Very good. So, so the new, heat cable and thermostat and gutter repair for the Civic Center is not complete. His contract said that he was going to put heat cable not only on gutter but also on the roof.
Right.
And I grabbed my binoculars and was,
You don't see it there?
but then again, I read it again and it said 50 feet. 50 feet doesn't go there.
No, it doesn't. But regardless of that, it needs to be done,
Yeah.
you know, whether they have to do it.
So I'm going to call it.
That's gonna save the concrete stoop.
I let Julia know not to send it, but we want to pay it, of course, until we work it out. Okay, moving on. Columbarium, so. We got a nice donation. I heard from Green. So Green's funeral home is now under new ownership. And when Dave was there, he had, of course, he had a columbarium
Right inside the wall there.
right on the whole
Yeah.
columbarium. And he's got all kinds of different things where he would show people like a bench, right? So I guess Dan was up there doing some work, like he does work on, of course, he has his own little business there. And so let me read the letter that they sent. So, to Mantua Township Trustees, just recently Kathy Herr was talking to Danny Krasinski about the columbarium that the township was interested in buying, which I did have an interest in. Kathy had told Danny that we were trying to get rid of ours and asked him, oh, that's what it was interested in buying our own columbarium, is what I was talking about. Kathy had told Danny that we're trying to get rid of ours and asked him if the township would be interested. Jason Jardini, owner of Green's Funeral Care, was notified and he confirmed that he would donate it to the West Lawn Cemetery on the following condition: that the township must move the building and assume all expenses. With the building is referring to the columbarium. The building could be moved as soon as they want, and if you have any questions, you can call April or Kathy at the funeral home, or Kathy on her cell phone. Please let us know your decision.
Very nice, very generous.
That is a
40 unit, isn't it?
40 unit
Yeah.
columbarium. It's dark, it's black. And if we purchase the other two columbariums like we're looking to do, that one could go down at the far end, on the bottom side, standalone. And I would think it would be a good thing if we were to accept this and let Greens know that we would be willing to give them a couple of the spots. If they have someone that's kind of low on their funds, that they can donate a couple of those spots.
Any ideas who would move that?
We would move
We'd
it.
have to
No,
move.
I mean,
Yeah. Well, you probably have a grant company.
No, yeah, we would have.
that's what I was
Yeah.
thinking.
So I would suspect that columbarium is probably in the range of $15,000 to $18,000, maybe even more. And we can offer those for this kind of a discount. That was very nice.
You know how many spots are empty on that?
40.
What?
There's nothing in there, they're not allowed to intern anybody at the funeral.
There was some years ago.
Not in there, I hope,
I built them, we put some in there.
there's nobody in
They must have moved them.
there. Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah,
I'll
right.
open them up and look,
That's your job.
but that was nice.
Yeah, that's very nice of them. Yep.
There's a heck of a footer under it.
Yeah.
That's gotta be.
Okay, Matt, we have a little bit of work to do on the pavilion. Permit.
I was reading that.
To get a copy.
Yeah.
I don't think it's too different.
No, because in any time, we'll get a zoning permit, and that's what that site plan's all about. You can't get a zoning permit without a site plan. That's all he's asking.
Right.
So, and that's just telling you what the site appearances are and what have you, where the zoning's going.
Right, and then, so it's not only that, but they want, they don't think we should go with the AU's group.
Yeah, they're gonna have to fight that one, and I don't know.
Yeah, because, no, that would be on us, because it says the AU's group requires more additional items to be provided. The U group would be, it would be the utility.
Yeah,
And then you could, I don't know, are we planning to put an electric in there?
not at this time, though, I mean, eventually we probably would.
Right,
Sure.
so I mean,
right now,
I mean
for their purpose though, John, it's just a pavilion with nothing in it.
right.
No electric,
That
no
would be
water.
like a utility, we can always change it.
Correct.
I think the only thing that they need to do is, they're talking about multiple contradictions, conflicts exist in the submitted drawings, update all notes to coordinate all dimensions, comments, specifications as applicable, use standard lumber sizes and convention as appropriate. And then the other one that I think that would have to go back to them would be the specify the design's loading, both positive and negative for the structure, and verify.
That's on
All
those.
structural, yeah, that's on them. Connections and fasteners to satisfy design building.
So when you went down to get your permit, did you take 3 sets of prints with you?
I did, you can't, you have to
Did
do
you do it
all,
online?
you have to do it all online. Yes, I did, I sent them
You
everything.
sent
I sent them everything we had.
So they have, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, but they rejected it.
Yeah, I know, I see that, but
Yeah, so,
Is the county actually reviewing those though? 'Cause I know
yes,
the
this is
church-
from,
Well, the church is doing a pavilion. You go to the county, but the county actually isn't doing it. They're hiring a third party to review those prints, and they're going through exactly the same thing. They got some moron down there that's not, doesn't know what they're doing, and they're not,
which church, Frank?
the one in Mantua, Lutheran.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're wanting to put a pavilion in the back. They've been working on getting permits since last October.
No.
Come on.
And they've been getting rejected for just the same crap. And JC was investigating it because he's the one that's kind of running it. And what he's gathering is that Portage County subcontracts that to like a third party.
Trying to offload some of their work.
Yeah, they're just
Yeah,
probably got
okay.
so much going on, they're not really reviewing everything and they're not really reading the fronts because a lot of stuff's there that they're missing.
Well, I know we probably gave him a site plan. John, did you draw a site plan on there?
we're working on it, right?
Okay, no, but when you submitted it the first time. so-
No, I did not.
So we'll probably write on that, and that's fine.
I did not.
Yeah, that's just,
And the site plan
and we'll get his own.
is somewhat, it's not rocket science because it's a big open area. But we have to go over there and specifically
Measure it out.
measure everything. Yeah, we can do this.
Right.
We don't need to hire. But, for your information, I know you said they've been doing this a couple of years for the pavilion that they're trying to do.
No, since last October.
Okay, so now they're making everybody do this stuff online. I don't know where they, Bodnar came up with this.
And that may be why.
Yeah. So, this one was
They're
done,
not doing it.
Yeah, so this one was done, so they have this guy, there's William Ross. He is the new building, he's part building official and master plans examiner. And he's the guy that's doing the plans exam.
And he is Portage County.
Huh?
He is, that's the guy that met us here.
Yes. And we got some stuff we're gonna talk about that here in a minute.
Yes, we are.
Yes, this is gonna be something that's gonna, everybody hold down their seat. So, yeah, so he's the master plans examiner. And so he's the co-building official. So now they have,
I think you'll find out on the road he's gonna be the chief.
well,
Because Randy is retired. He retired twice and they called him back. So I think this person this William, doesn't have enough hours as a chief building official to get his license for that part. So this is a process, like an intern in the hospital.
Sure, yeah, that's something else.
Same principle.
It's painful. Well, we can do that, John. Like I said, we'll lay that out.
yeah, I think that we could do
We'll
that.
get a zoning certificate, and then we'll go down and do this again. Because you can still go to the office, or at least I was there 2 months ago, so you can usually go get what you want if you go to the office too. And
The
that's-
girls will help you on their
Yeah,
computers.
so they're still there, then, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
and they got a computer there for people that
Like
don't
me.
have one.
Right.
Trust me, I know this.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what we got for the,
Good. All right, we'll get through it.
so last month, I was telling everybody about the new annex permit. So they gave us the permit for assembly, 299 people.
For the annex.
For the annex. What they also did is they,
Yeah, really?
well,
It was 140.
Yeah, I know.
it was 140, it's 299.
Wow. Okay.
But what they did in the process, and the reason that I didn't mention it last time is because we couldn't believe what we read, and we were trying to get a hold of the county to get some additional information. What they did is they rescinded the occupancy permit for the school building. And not only did they rescind that, they rescinded the certificate of completion for the elevator. So now they deem the school building as uninhabitable. Lock the doors. So we called them and we tried to get some information, and we're not getting any kind of feedback. So I want to read what they wrote. And Mark, I'm going to give you a copy of this. Okay? Because, and the reason that I'm so upset is because of the money. Because you guys put in $25,000. And we went out and we got a grant from the state of Ohio for $80-some thousand. The township put in $10,000. Right? We had no, the trustees had no contract with the demolition, the elevator project. This was all handled by the county, as you recall. The county they were the one that had the contract. So,
And what was their phrase about the elevator?
the elevator, and I have it here for you. The elevator was granted when it was all done, and we went through the adjudication for the smoke detectors. So, it's called certificate of completion. That means that the county got all the permits and they said, good to go, here's your permit. So now they took that back. So now we don't have a certificate of completion. But anyway,
For the
here's,
elevator.
huh?
For the elevator, they removed the certificate of completion.
Yeah, and the school building, they removed the occupancy permit. And if you remember, I was always asking questions about who changed the occupancy of that building. I don't know how many times it's done. So here we go. See if I get the right one. I don't want to mess this up. It says, and this is part of it. It says, well, I'll start. Based on a request of Trustee John Festo representing your office, a meeting was held Monday, February 10th, 2025 at 10 a.m. at the Annex Building portion of the above subject location. Those in attendance, besides Mr. Festa and myself, were Matt Benner and Matt Rosa, both representing the township. Well, I don't know how we got that, but Matt Rosa was there for the fire, for the fire requirements. Both representing the township. And William Ross, who is the guy that is the plans examiner now. And he's my co-building official. The purpose of said meeting and goal was to determine steps provided a new certificate of occupancy for the annex building to enable it to be used for assembly purposes in line with the 2024 Ohio Building Code, Section 303.4. During those discussions, it was shared and brought to our attention that when the elevator was installed in the portion of the building complex known as the school building, that the building service lines for water, sanitary, and HVAC were severed and terminated at the location of the elevator and its shaft, and never restored. The removal of these building services, which are required for occupancy and habitation, has required this office to now issue a revised certificate of occupancy, which rescinds the previous certificate of occupancy dated 8/7/2015 and certificate of completion dated 1/7/2020, in which this revised document identifies the use of the building. This is the new permit that they gave us. Not inhabitable, not occupiable, with an occupancy of 0 persons. In the future, if those services are restored, the building occupancy can also be restored. As it relates to the annex building and the new certificate of occupancy, it is required that the fire-rated door that separates the two buildings is to be closed and locked. This is thus not providing access to the unusable side of the building known as the school building. As always, you should have any comments, questions, please do not hesitate to contact us at any time. Randall E. Roberts. Not good news.
John, that's a matter of public record, we could request it.
I'm gonna give Mark.
He's gonna
Okay,
get it for us.
You don't have to request it, I'm gonna give it.
Okay, fine.
If you, so I'm trying to recall,
This is gonna be difficult, Mark, so any questions you have, we'll try our best to answer.
okay, if I recall correctly, for the vent lines that went to the, what was it, the bathroom and the small office on the first floor there. That was severed with the elevator, and the line that went down to the boys' room at the very end. I recall, I think those were the only two rooms that were severed. The water line, if you look at the housing, I'll call it, for the elevator, and it would be as you go down the stairs and then you face the wall, you'll see new copper pipe that went around. I think that copper pipe was put in to restore the water line. And then the only other thing that I recall, I don't recall the details on this, is when they put the pit in, they did run into a sewer line that I was told at one point they plugged it as such, but I don't know what the source and exit of it was. But that's all that I recall for those three items. That, when you say, I recall the water was restored, that the heating ducts to the three rooms that I mentioned were the only ones that were disturbed that I recall on that. And then, the sewer line there in the pit. So, just FYI that I remember from years ago.
And I appreciate that. And I begged and pleaded for a set of plans for that elevator project that I never even got them until after we got the certificate of completion. I finally got them. And in the plans, in the demolition plan, it specifically states to cut that sanitary line, to cut and plug the sanitary line, cut and plug the water line, cut all trunk lines, HVAC going up to wherever they go. And then on top of the elevator shaft, at the roof, there were also trunk lines up there that they took out. I never even knew that. But they were.
I didn't recall any trunk lines up there because it used the, I'm going to call it the columns as such that were built into the structure. You know, they had the big grates across them.
Right.
And
To this floor.
So the trustees have, of course, we have our own attorney, Chad Burnett. We definitely don't want to use county prosecutors for obvious reasons, right? So he is developing some kind of a strategy to go forward, but as it stands now, I feel that the county is liable since they were the owner of the project, and since that was their signed off on that, and we checked all the resolutions up until 2019. Not one, we had not one resolution from the trustees were made to approve that demolition or the elevator stand.
in the letter also, didn't you mention, or they referenced a building permit from 2017, 2015?
So, Mark, you've been here a long time. You know I've been talking about this for you.
I know. I'm just trying to recall.
So it went from educational, it was educational forever.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2015, that permit was changed to building and storage. The trustees never approved that. I've asked, and I have all the receipts for all this stuff, I can tell you that, right? We never approved it. And when I asked Randy, I wanted to get I made a public records request, and he told me, well, we'd like to get you all those records, but they were consumed in a flood. So, I don't know where that permit came from.
Does that really matter though?
What?
As far as your occupancy permit, whether it's educational or if it's building storage, is that really gonna matter with all the problems with the elevator and the electric and?
So we had a conversation when Randy was there, and Randy said, I said, so we're not gonna get the assembly for the rest of the building? He said, no. Build a business and storage. I said, so if I have a company that's going to come in here, a business and storage company with 15 employees, are you going to let us? He said, no. Remember, he wouldn't go down the basement with us and not look at anything, so.
But they're not gonna let you use it for education either.
What?
Right.
That's the point. It wouldn't matter what
But-
your occupancy permit, if it was educational or building and storage, they're not gonna let you use the building no matter what, because then you have issues with electric and so,
Well, now, yeah.
yeah. Well,
In 2015, we did.
I guess I don't understand. If you put an elevator in and they cut stuff and you have no electricity and you have issues because of this elevator, and he's telling you that you can't have an occupancy permit because your elevator created these issues.
Correct.
So it isn't gonna matter, as soon as the elevator got put in, it doesn't matter what your occupancy permit was for, you weren't gonna be able to use the building.
It does matter. It matters because the trustees never approved it.
And they should.
That would mean so anybody could go and change the occupancy on his house.
You couldn't do that in a normal business, or cut lines and then not replace them or rerun them. But that's all water over the dam. It's happened, it's time to move forward. And how this came about is, okay, so we were running the annex on a temporary, like a public assembly. And I said, listen, I'm not comfortable with that. That building needs to become public assembly. I said, let's get these guys up here and figure out what the hell we need to do to make the township annex.
You wanted to do that for the annex and the...
No, just
the annex.
originally for the annex,
Okay.
because that's what was being open to the public. Okay, so we vote there, we got weddings there.
You okay?
I think so.
You got one more. Pick it up when you're ready. You don't have to.
Okay.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
So that being said, Graham, we wanted to know, because I wasn't comfortable, because you got over 50, 60 people in this building at any given time. I mean, you could have 100 people in a wedding. Now you can have 299 in there, okay? And I said, it needs to be approved as public assembly, not storage, not anything else. It needs to be public assembly, because we have the public there.
Right.
Okay, whether it's voting or a bridal shower or a wedding, whatever it may be. So they come out, they met with us, like I said, we met all the qualifications, had the backup generator, we had everything we needed to do. The warming kitchen, for the most part, everything was good to go. The next thing we know, we get a letter, they're approving that, okay, but then they're stripping us from the occupancy permit of the school. So, and I understand John's problem, this is all before my time, I understand that because they actually created a monster, and now they should stand behind it because Marcy Group was put money into that elevator, they put money into the roof, and what do you got to show for it? Nothing. You got buildings that they just closed.
Right. And they've told us all along, they've told all of us all along, you can use it for what you want. Right?
Mm-hmm.
How many times have they told us that?
Well, I don't know.
You do whatever you want. It's business and storage.
But
You could put the fiscal office in there. You could do all these wonderful things, right? And now they're telling us uninhabitable.
Well, okay.
That's not
The
right.
consultant that you had, the historic consultant who gave, and I forget for CT from out of Mentor. He came and he reported and he said 3 times, he listed a whole bunch of things like gutting the building, which just horrified those of us who somehow or other have developed an appreciation for historic buildings. That would, you know, what, $1 million or something? When he also said 3 times, but it's a historic building, you don't have to do any of that. So, I don't, that's, okay,
It's not true.
that's just another piece, well, with the things that had been eliminated, I think probably it wasn't true, but historic buildings do get some slack, but not that much slack.
That's right. You're not exempt from the Ohio Fire Code, nor are you exempt from the safety code, life safety code.
Yeah.
It's, I don't care if it's a historical building or what it is. Yes, there is some, a little bit of leeway there, but not when it comes to public safety. That building, when you have 50 or more people in there, is deemed to be public assembly.
Yeah,
If you have 51, if you have 49, you're okay. But if you have 51, you're not okay. And, you know, and that, you know the issues, yeah, we've beat that drum for quite a while. That architect, he actually did a nice job of laying everything out, and then COVID hit, and that just was a disaster. So, and now it's another.
we had no idea that this was coming.
yeah, okay.
But we're little,
Something happened when this permit was changed.
And nobody knows who changed it?
Nope.
Okay, well,
Is there a lawsuit?
you know, so this is,
Right, I know, it's only, I'm not saying anything until we figure it out.
did you
And
ever?
I've asked Randy,
Yeah,
and I have all the, so Carol, when I ask officials something,
yeah,
it's on email.
yeah, okay.
Right,
No,
so I asked them
Yeah.
a bunch of times, who changed it? Well, I don't know, we don't,
yeah,
the paperwork got all soggy and
that's convenient, isn't it?
it is.
yeah. But it did flood, I can verify that. The old nursing home did flood.
Okay.
It did.
Well, I think I may be the only one here old enough to remember hearing The Life of Riley on the radio. And always there was something that happened during the program, and the response to it was, well, what a revolting development this is. So it's appropriate for right now. And it's not funny,
Was the
but
building
yeah,
wasn't being used for anything anyways, was it? Right
That
at this time?
is correct, it is not.
Is there any plans of anything going in the building, like you have plans? I mean, you just bought the house over there, so you're moving everybody into there. Because I know one time the zoning was over there, because when I did the addition up at Gina's, I
Fiscal
was up there, I'm
officer.
gonna tell you what, that building was miserable. It was freezing cold, you couldn't hardly stand
Right.
it in there. You
Yeah,
had
nothing's
10, 11
changed.
heaters going in there, and it was like, it was terrible.
Nothing's changed.
We had a
Well, what they
thunderstorm,
did-
the electricity went out, and I had to walk in the total darkness from the fiscal office all the way down the stairs to get out the side. I mean, it was
Yeah,
horrible.
it's, go ahead.
So what they did do though, is they did put heat in the elevator shaft, okay? They did put heat in the well room to keep everything, you know, from freezing, okay? To protect our investment until we figure out.
Well, that probably the well feeds.
That is
the-
correct,
and
that
that's-
is correct.
So you almost have to do that.
Yeah, right.
I mean, when did they put the elevator in?
From 2016 to
For my
2020,
time,
it took that long.
So for 5 years, they went in and cut stuff and nobody addressed
It was
that.
a-
From
it-
5 years ago, this has been
And
like,
it was an absolute nightmare.
okay.
From the beginning, from what this Jim Martin contract, what a night.
John, I got a question for you. Who was,
From the beginning,
who were the trustees when that started?
Victor Grimm, Jason Carlton, John Festa.
Okay, so how did that get approved for them to come into the building and put an elevator? How did that get started?
So this is what's gonna happen. So CBDG grant, Community Development. The commissioners awarded us the grant, but they kept the grant money and became the owners of the project,
Okay,
of the elevator project. But hold on a second. They made the contract with James Martin contract.
this is
All,
all
I have it signed by all the commissioners. They took the project, they had the architects come to them, give them the plans or whatever. But they had complete control of the whole project. Then they had Portage County Regional Planning as some kind of a directors and project managers of the project. The trustees had no say-so in any of this whatsoever. And what else happened, when the electrical, they had the bid, it was overbid, they took the electrical out of the contract, and they had the trustees, so we had to take that portion. Cost us fortunes.
Okay, but I'm still confused that somebody had to allow them to come into that school and put an elevator. Somebody had to approve that.
We approved the grant, but we never,
Okay, never approved for them.
we didn't own the project.
Okay,
The commissioners owned the
okay,
project.
all right.
So they paid themselves.
Okay, I'd like to add
Hold
one
on,
thing.
hold on.
I'd like to add one thing to this. There was, what you described is correct, I'm not arguing with that, but there was never a project manager with authority to say to James Martin, you will do this or you will do that.
Yes, there was.
There was?
Yeah.
Who?
The only ones that had that were the architects. Because the architects actually approved all the change orders that Jim,
Okay.
and then the architects would go to the Portage County,
It's still, okay, I was pretty active
Not the
at the
commission.
beginning of that, and
regional
from
plan.
what I remember, it was like there were multiple people in charge, but still, there was nobody authorized to do the things that now have come back to really harass us.
Somebody gave somebody authorization to do stuff.
Well, it didn't
And
get,
it wasn't me.
I'm not, John, I'm
No,
not.
no, I know you're not.
I'm not-
I know you're not, Carol.
No, but
I'm not even going there.
Yeah,
But I'm just making a statement that I didn't do it.
yeah, okay.
You know what, I'll remember one time when I made a big stink about, we had this big meeting with the commissioners, I made a big stink about someone cutting all those trunk lines for the heat.
Mhm.
And I was told by one of the contractors that the township had to pay for it. I said, we're not paying for that.
Yeah,
We
well,
didn't do it.
yeah, okay.
So these architects, I'm sure you know who they are, I'm not gonna mention any names.
Yeah.
I don't wanna pull them into this right now, but that was the circle. And how many times did I sit at the meeting and ask, who is the project manager?
Yeah. And that was pretty, okay, all the words are there, but in fact, it was all so damn vague, there was nobody in charge. That's what it amounted to. There were project managers or whatever designated, but operationally, there was nobody in charge.
Should have been the county.
So,
If the county was putting it in and they were responsible for
yeah,
the
I know.
project,
Well,
they should have had somebody there that was in charge.
yeah,
And nobody should have been paid until that everything was back up and operational. If they cut stuff and cut electric, they never should have got the money. But if it was their project and they were paying themselves,
Crabs, it's worse than that. It's so bad. We had an electrician that was supposed to provide temporary power, which they didn't in February. Guess what happened? The pipes broke and we had floods. It just went on and on and on, and it never stopped, Carol.
yeah, I know.
Okay, so, that being said,
So now we're here.
Yeah, okay, I want to say one more thing.
one more.
There have been, yeah, well, one more for the moment, sorry. From day one, there was always a faction who said, tear the damn thing down. I want to tell you something. Unless every OSHA requirement is is rescinded and everything, it costs more to tear down a building like that than it does somehow to figure out how to make it usable. So, you know, it's a matter of, okay, here we are, this really stinks, you know, pigs, if you go through Indiana, you can smell what this is like. But that's what we've got, and, you know, how to make it work.
Just so you know,
Yeah,
I don't think that, since I've been here since 2020, I don't think that there's ever come out of our mouths about tearing that building down.
okay.
I don't think that's ever been said.
No,
anybody here.
no, that's true.
Right.
That's absolutely
Right.
true.
Right.
It was out there in the ether and by various people who could promulgate that and make people think they knew what they were doing.
Right.
So thank you for making that statement. I really appreciate that.
Carol,
Yeah,
when did we purchase that building?
pardon?
When did we purchase that building?
2004.
Right,
It took-
and what year are we in now?
Well, you know, there's been.
And we still have,
Still the
Carol,
same thing.
Carol,
Yeah,
the only thing that this board has done over the years, in my opinion, has managed the decline of that building. That's all we've done.
well.
Because
there
lots
are
of
reasons
things,
for that.
everybody had good ideas, good intentions. The problem we had was there was no money. You couldn't afford to do it. The building was not made for anything other than 1914 school.
But has anybody ever put any kind of general idea, we want to do this with the building?
Yes.
Yes, we did.
We've had how many meetings and how many different facilitators, on and on and on.
And none of that panned out?
When I came aboard, we hired an architect, okay, to give us a parameter of what it would cost to put this on the ballot, to make it operational for whatever we want to do with it. So he highlighted several different things. He did it in 3 phases, okay? Basically, in a nutshell, he was pretty much done with all that. He submitted it to us, and then COVID hit, okay? And that's the last it's been done, okay? Because we wanted to move forward with it. We wanted to get our numbers and put it on the ballot, but we knew if we put it on the ballot during COVID, we're gonna have egg on our face, because they were gonna say you put it on the ballot when you knew a piece of plywood went from $17 to $70. Okay, there's no way that you're gonna go do that. All I'm saying is, when we did that, we had to do it and do it right, and I said, if we could make that building public assembly, if you kept it the way it was with the occupancy permit as storage and office, okay, we couldn't house a trustees meeting at that building. So if I'm gonna, from my standpoint, if I'm gonna spend $2 million or $2.5 million to renovate the building, to make that so you can have little stores in there or whatever, and we can't house a trustees meeting in there, that's not very good for us. Okay, if you're gonna rehouse that building or rehab that building, you gotta make it a public assembly, okay? So the public can go there, they can have meetings, you can have a YMCA, whatever the hell you wanna do in that building, okay? Because you're covered, because public assembly is the most stringent part of the Ohio Building Code, okay? And that's what it has to be. That's what it has to be.
And that's a was a $2.5 million renovation to renovate that?
That was basically just for the bare minimum.
I was gonna say, I thought it was 4.1.
It was.
We got every, this community's got every bit. Up to probably 2.75 million.
And you're
In
talking,
it already.
and you're talking an additional?
Yes, yes, and that was just for the bare minimum, Grant, to keep it as an office and storage.
But what kind of public assembly would you have in there that would be, I mean, how could you justify dumping that kind of money into that building? And
There's no way, you can't.
Yeah, you can't.
Right,
exactly.
right, that's.
And we couldn't, as a group, we
That was
couldn't.
before they cut everything around.
Hey, everybody, and as a group up here, it was very difficult because a lot of people had good ideas. But we couldn't take all the services that we provide everybody and tell them to go jump in the lake, we're gonna spend all the money.
And now that, we're gonna spend, say, $2.5 million Okay, we want to have all our offices over there. We want to have zoning, you know, we want to have the BZA, we want to have everybody, the fiscal officer, have their offices over there. And us to be able to have a meeting there, that would be our government center, okay? But 2.5 million, I cut it because you
There's
can't.
even more than that.
Oh, no, that was from the bottom, that was just from storage and office. I'm not talking about public center, public
So you
center
had-
was
I mean-
like 4 million.
You would, if you put 4 million, you put 2, you got over $6 million in a building.
No, oh yeah, originally 2.
To have trustee meetings?
Yes, yeah.
Well, here, and just to finish that conversation, whatever we were doing in that annex was wrong, without an assembly permit.
Because it wasn't the right
Now,
option.
everything we were doing was wrong. Everything, from voting to meetings to anything.
I mean, even with the annex, I mean, you talk about renting it, and it sounds like you're renting it quite a bit. Is that
No,
making money?
no, you'd have to get,
So you're
$10,000 in advance.
Yeah.
It's making money to sustain itself as in the current condition for the most part.
Carol wants.
Okay.
And then we're gonna move on. But we have a lot, Carol, the trustees and legal has a lot of work to do.
Right, okay. Well, you know, Graham hasn't been here for all those years.
What's that?
You haven't been through all these meetings for all these years.
Well, I used to.
Lucky guy
I
you
did.
Okay, you know, stripping the inside of the building, which is what the Cadillac plan would have been, just sounded insane.
Yeah.
You know, it didn't, why do you have to strip everything back out to the walls?
You
You
could.
know, that makes no sense, but that was part of the proposal.
I know,
that was
well,
part of
everybody had the right to propose stuff.
Yeah, so, I mean, that was the architect's proposal. So, you know, there's all this stuff, nobody wants to tear it down. Okay, Matt said, you know, you haven't talked about tearing it down. What is okay, this will set people's teeth on edge. What is, not the bare minimum, but what would it take without basically raping the building and to make it actually usable, legally usable, without having to act like a contortionist with the Cirque du Soleil or something.
If you look at what the architect did, okay, he laid that, as you know, he laid that out in 3 different sections of what you could do, floor by floor by floor,
Right,
okay? But whenever you hit that magic number, that's when everything changes.
yeah.
So that puts us in a particular spot because we can't break the law. I mean, we gotta, you know, what do you want to do? You want to put 2.5 million in a building and not allow 40 people to go in there? I
Yeah,
mean, that's kind of tough.
well,
It's tough mostly, it's because you've already put $2 million in it. So,
I don't know those numbers, but John will because I'm.
okay, well, whatever, if you put money into it.
We didn't, we haven't, yeah, we had to stop.
Yeah.
We had to stop, it's like stop. We can't. But look, so we're gonna, this was not right what happened.
okay.
This was right.
Thank
You can't grant someone an occupancy permit and give them a certificate of completion on a big elevator project, and then all of a sudden say, you
Yank it out from
can't
under.
close the doors of the building, you
Yeah.
can't use it.
Okay.
So who in the world? No, I mean, there's a lot of things that can go on.
So basically, are we just saying right now, we're waiting to see from legal what the next steps kind of are? That's where you're at with this? You're taking it through legal, getting that, you'll come back, you'll let us
And then
know.
taking it to legal.
Well, there's a lot of things that could be done.
Right.
All right,
Someone could call the newspaper and say, hey, did you know that the
Yeah.
building done? Well, you know, the county's gonna read that, they're gonna say, hey, building department, what are you guys doing? So, I mean, there's plans out there.
right, so I mean,
But we
that's
can't-
where we're at this
Yeah,
point right
and
now. We're
now
looking
it's
for that.
gonna be litigious, guys, and there's gonna be things that the trustees won't be able to say until we get stuff done. But that doesn't mean that you all can't do what you need to do.
On that note, we should get the keys back of everybody that has, because they can't be in there.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
Everybody that has.
Anybody that has keys in that building needs to
yeah.
fork them over. I don't know who, I'm not looking at
No,
you.
Is anybody
I'm not looking at you because I want your keys.
But you're not leaving until you get your key back.
Right, right. Yeah, that's right. Reach in your pocket.
Yeah.
So,
It would be anybody that had access to the
okay,
mail.
all right, everybody, I dreaded this day because I knew I had to let the public know what was going on. I thought we could have beat it. It was insane when we first read that. It was gonna, like, hey, this can't be true.
It was
This
good
can't be
and it was
true.
bad, because it was good if we have a public, someone from the annex, but it's bad.
And they wanted, again, they were there, I asked them about, hey, if you say that you can't do assembly there, and we have this permit for business and storage, can I get a business and storage company to come in here? He said, oh, no, you can't do that. It's like, well, what do you mean you can't? Well, let's go down and take a look at the basement. They didn't even want to go, they wanted to be in the annex. So here's where we're at. I'm not gonna speak no more on it. As things come,
I know.
yeah, as things come done, then we'll. Now it's off my chest.
Okay.
Okay, move on. We still got stuff to do.
John?
Yes.
No.
Mark, I'm not gonna deny you what. Go ahead.
I need to go here. But there's a couple things that I just wanted to bring up before I left for this evening, if you can indulge me.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure. Next second Friday dinner will be on May 9th. The historical marker that Marcy put together for the green should be done in mid-June.
Perfect.
We got some information that it's going into production sometime in May here. So that's up and coming. Just a quick thank you for the warming oven. And if you could forward over to the road crew down Pioneer Trail just east of Loris Avenue, I think you have a culvert pipe that is starting to collapse in there because as the road goes across,
Which
it's
side of the road?
dipping down and goes up
Which side of the road? South?
all the way across,
All the way across?
predominantly on the north side.
Okay.
So for that,
Pioneer, east of Loris.
yeah, just east of Loris. As you turn there, I think there's a pipe that goes across there. In the meantime, think about the other stuff that,
Hey, one question. Did you figure out the location of your plaque?
we were still looking at basically centering it on the green, next to the parking lot, next to the civic center. Originally, we were going to center it between the little island that came out over here, which has since disappeared, and the handicap parking there. But along that line, about center in that area, there again, we had talked about, the road crew would be able to help in setting it up
Sure.
and whatnot. And we talked about more of that detail later. I think the only thing the township needs to consider is that you have talked in the past about putting the well over in the green somewhere, and where you might think
Yeah, I
you're
have
going
it.
to put water lines.
Okay. All I know is we're gonna come out, eventually we're gonna come out where, thing is, unfortunately, that north wall, that's a double wall. So I don't know if we're gonna come out and curve it and come over here, but they said that the EPA would tell us where we have to put the well. It's gonna be in that green, I just don't know where.
Okay.
Yeah, so, but we just want to, before we pave everything and make it nice, we want to make sure we run those well lines across there. That way we're there. So when the well does take a crack, we're not digging it back up.
Thank you.
Thanks, Frank. Okay, so speaking of markers, it's still sitting out there. Did we pay that?
No.
Yeah. So here's the last thing I got, and then
And that's the one I have.
Yeah, it says, just to let you know, I placed the order for the refurbishment of marker 1067 today. Sweet Studios will contact you. It may be just after the holidays. Well, this is after.
Well, then they gave us email.
Yeah, and it says, as they take time off, about picking up the damaged marker, please wrap it carefully so it won't be damaged in transport. They will pick up the marker, completely strip it, repaint it, and return it to you when ready. Expect to take between 4 and 8 months.
I think their pipeline is pretty
I don't
full.
know.
I would think. Be nice to have all that, huh?
He's got the car.
Yeah,
I was wondering if he was okay with it.
Yeah, I didn't look
yeah,
at
no,
it.
he's, yeah.
So anyway, that's,
He's in his truck.
Yeah, but it's in reverse.
I just wanted to bring it up. I've been asking about it. And I think,
Still sitting in his truck.
There he goes.
yeah, I was gonna ask Sue, does anybody know, I know, we had a couple of, posts go out to tell everybody April 15th was to clean up the
Yeah, we'll
cemetery, but I don't know, we usually have a bunch of people go up and clean up the cemetery, but I.
If you guys pick a Saturday, or usually we did a Saturday or
Or not a
Sunday.
Saturday.
I know, but, we'll put it on Facebook.
Yeah, no, it's pretty much cleaned out. Danny went out and got a couple dumpsters full of stuff.
Okay.
So, we're still waiting for flags and put flags and stuff. Outdoor speed signs. Where are we at?
We are, as we talked before, Brian, I talked to Brian about putting them up. Want to wait till the weather cleared for the most part. No sense getting salt all over all the other crap. But anyhow, one's gotta go here, one's probably go down on the curve, one will be on Bowen, and they can do that, they got all summer to do that, and one will walk on the trail, and then you got a square. And then you can move that square around any place where you can do that street problem. So, okay.
Okay, two more things.
Yes, sir.
We had a complaint from the EPA on the septic system at 11715 Schooling. They wanted us to make an appointment with the health department, but we decided that we would get our engineer, Steve Kramer, to go out there and do all the paperwork, then he can forward that to the.
Right. I talked to Steve, he's gonna come out next Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah, perfect.
So, yeah.
And that's it. Video camera, still limping that thing along, so. And that's it. Anything else that you want to add? How about you?
I'm good.
Oh, you want to go home?
Yeah. Eat.
Thanks, Carol.
Cover everything, huh?
I think I've said enough for the night. Thank you.
Barry.
The only thing I could bring up about the building department being behind schedule, S&K, whose building burnt out a year ago, he said he's been through 5 separate changes because the building department kicks it back and says, this is wrong, and he said you have to file and pay a new fee
Every time.
every time it's done. He said the latest was they want to know on the print what kind of doorknobs are going to be on the doors. And he said, just do it, just build.
Right.
And they're trying to build in the industrial park over here, Blue Sky Bee Supply. It's been in for 2 months, the prints, everything got approved in Mantua by our zoning and everything's good. No one's called him from the building department, and the metal's showing up in 3 weeks. So I said, get on the phone with Randy Roberts, we'll walk in.
Yeah.
Because Randy's pretty, he's a nice guy.
Yeah.
He'll sit down and talk.
Okay.
And just tell him, say, look, in 3 weeks I had metal in the ground.
You talking about the thing on the corner?
No, in the industrial parkway that was in there.
Yeah, timber.
Timber, yeah.
It's in the parkway, it's not the one on the corner.
No, in the parkway. on the right-hand side, Blue Sky Bee Supply is gonna build
Oh,
a
the
metal.
bee people, yeah.
Yeah, but it's not for Blue Sky Bee Supply. Jamie Moorhead, her husband, has a business where they do knockoff cookware and stuff like that. He has other things, so he's gonna be running, right now, he's renting space over by Parker Hamilton. So he's building his own metal building, he'll probably lease some of it out. Unfortunately, the metal comes from Canada, so 25% tariff.
I hope it's got a brick and air on it or something.
Yeah, so he, no, that's all I had.
Yeah, okay, thanks. Frank,
Nothing on.
you sat there all day.
I said it every meeting.
Carol's coming. Grant,
I don't need anything.
Come on, Greg.
Mary Ellen. I know,
Well, I want-
I'm sure you got a lot.
It's really hard to get here at 6 o'clock. So I don't know why, I understand 6 o'clock in the winter, but I don't understand 6 o'clock in the summer.
Because our meetings are lasting till 10 o'clock at night. That
Even
is
if
the
it's a
only
half
reason.
an hour.
I used to sit here till midnight.
Yeah, even if it's
Those
a
were
half
the
an hour,
days.
that would be better. So, that is all.
I know, you know what, and I get that, I get what you do, farming and
Hey,
stuff
he
like
doesn't
that.
even
and I
get
don't-
home from
no,
work
no,
until 5 o'clock, so.
And I get it.
And Julia hasn't
But-
even ate.
I'm not
Because
saying,
Right, because you gotta be here at 6 o'clock. I get that.
No, people, I stay home too all night.
I know.
make a motion to pay the bills for May.
Renee.
I'll second that, Mr. Costa.
John?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
We're still open for business if anybody wants to shoot us a question at a time.
Memorial Day. Was 26th. There'll be no parade. There'll be no parade. There'll be a service at the cemetery on Memorial Day.
Okay.
And no parade.
Oh,
That
No parade.
stinks.
No parade?
No parade. No.
You want to get
That'll
out?
probably
The
be same.
band isn't gonna march up the hill?
Excuse me?
The band won't march up the hill?
Buses down. What's that?
Payday for all those guys.
I know, that's what I think. That's what I think.
No, they'll have
You're not
service.
leaving, you gotta
But
check.
no parade. So,
Right?
Yeah.
Unless you want to sign it over
Mr.
here.
Chairman, you can please put that on Facebook too.
Yes.
On our website.
Michelle,
Perfect. No parade. There will be services at 11 o'clock.
Kids are got the flood, they didn't want to do it.
Oh, it's okay. I didn't know if they were leaving.
Well, they still.
The rest of these are
There's
just me.
play.
yeah, just those two chairs. I know, I've been waiting for dinner.
Is there only one commissioner left in office there's only one commissioner left in office that was involved in any of this?
Yeah, Kristen.
Uh-huh.
Never use those?
Maureen is gone.
You want to-
Sabrina is.
Yes, that's what.
Maureen is gone and so is, what the heck is her?
There'll be a
I can see your face, I
delivery.
can't.
Where are you at?
Baldy Manzi, wasn't he? The Baldy Manzi guy?
Right, Chuck.
Yeah.
No.
Paris is born in here's this. Yeah. What is mine? Can I see her photograph?
Yes. Vicki Klein. Vicki Klein. She was there for
Yeah, I
couple of terms. Did he get a shot?
Oh, the big
Yeah, I
When I go up your driveway.
Yeah, there's a house on there. That's the oldest one there.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I gotta get my guys.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, I'd give you an idea.
Like the words that, you know, are approved for the sulfate, yeah.
Meter down there, we put down there.
Yeah. Just don't know how much I want to put into it, I want to tear it down.
So, it's gone. So that means you're gonna get it. So I got a question.
I went to say one layer first.
Like, how are you, Rebecca?
They replaced the west side of, yeah, it's the east side, that's
That's part of it.
And so,
We're taking the meter down.
I don't know what these
That
are.
gets thrown away.
It's not leaking on my toe.
Because you watch the television.
Now, you leave the meter in, there's a letter in there. That's why I want to make sure.
3 years ago.
No, we don't have to.
I'll give you a call.
so did you, how did you get him? I mean, is it, are you buying one?
Yeah, we traded my pickup in, as mine did, when I bought it. And then I sold my GMC Denali.
I don't know either, but.
That was the one that's smaller.
And,
I sold that.
$80, you could probably see
Well, they gave you
30 to 40 revenue.
No, that's
I think they're doing a lot of industry.
well, yeah, no.
That's enough. So my wife's
Working on your farm. An organic cattle barn.
Okay.
She won't get it.
Marcus got
So,
that.
the cars went off, the pickup went off, so we had to do
You
something.
had it, you had it.
There's
I don't need it, I'm right, so we had to do something.
There's nothing wrong with it.
So everybody shot back.
Take advantage of it.
Nothing we had to do. Really?
I didn't do it.
Like the trucks did not stop all winter long. He's got money for a cattle barn.
Well, we're paying for the barn.
Well, there's insurance is paying for the barn.
Yeah. That's true. Hey, are you gonna always?
All right, guys, let's adjourn this sucker.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, you know what, I was dying for a piece of chocolate.
I was thinking about chocolate.
Hey, he wants to, he technically, you gotta take it. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Somebody needs to go down, make sure that's not.
She's never listened to California. She had,
No.
But it's just where we get a bad rap. See, you should have came to us before we do this shit. I mean, you would think you'd have a kind of
kidney, real bad kidneys. So she was in there, so she started complaining about her back. She got back.
Is it kidney stones?
Oh, she had it so bad. They plugged it up. She was bad. She was like, ready for that. Anyway, so I said, so what's wrong? Well, I don't know. It's that stupid side. I'm going to chiropractor. What do you mean you're going? So she went to a chiropractor. She comes back. She said she had sciatica.
Yeah.
Okay. It hurt. She's like that. I said, don't let that guy do anything. Anyway, she gets up the other, Tuesday morning and she's like, oh, and she's got her hair right over her
Kidneys.
I said, what are you doing? I go, where's it? She goes, it's going, it's radiating through to my stomach. I said, if it's like rock and roll, we'll go and leave it out.
Yes,
I
that's.
took her to the hospital, she starts telling them, oh, I got that water. So they give her a CAT scan, he said, your kidneys have filled up.
That's what she gets her.
How many years did you not miss? He hadn't missed a meeting.
You never missed
Never missed a meeting in 12 years. He just missed
13 minutes, not 14.
He missed one because you.
That's why I kept saying.
Search all, oh, that was, oh, yeah.
You know, I could have, did you know I could have.
He was trying.
I told her, I said, I'm just gonna drop you up, go to a meeting, so, oh, just like that, right? I just got out.
Are they still involved down there?
I don't think so, I think that.
I get to do that, I'll do your thing on Thursday, call him on speed.
I'm not saying nothing.
They hired a company to do the design of the pavilion, and they're frustrated.
So-
Because they had, every time they go back, it costs them.
You still got to inspect, you still got to do things, so you might as well keep the office open.
Then you want, well, as you talk about.
All right, anyway, that's fine.
All right,
See you guys later.
See you, man, thank you.
What do you mean basketball?
Basketball's on, brother.
We're playing?
Are we still on the clock? Is that still on?
Yeah.
Hey guys, we got water
I think I
down.
didn't say what I wanted to say.
Hold on a
Water
second.
down in the basement.
Hey, before you go, let's end.
He said we got water down in the basement.
We do.
Yeah,
You got what?
water down on the basement. Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Not tons, but it's coming from
It's not
somewhere.
bad. I know it's coming from that window.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna look. Any other thing for the good of the order?
No, sir.
I just have a couple, one other thing, John.
Yeah, go ahead.
What did you guys decide with the trees?
We actually did,
John wanted to wait until.
I think we're gonna wait till the next meeting because Sue wanted to get involved. I wanted her to put the trees, so.
Okay, that's fine.
She said she would probably be late, but I think he's
We
pretty.
can do it at the 22nd meeting.
She took her husband.
Oh, I didn't know.
It's a-
Yeah,
That's why she's not here.
okay, I didn't know.
Okay, I'll make a motion to adjourn. Wait, hold on. Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
John,
Yes,
Matt,
Yes?
we are adjourned.
Not bad, 2 hours, 15 minutes.